So it was more likely to be females reporting that they were committed to that. Interesting difference, though, in terms of how much they relied on religious beliefs or the religious community. And I thought this was an important question to bring in, because for Latino culture, religious beliefs and religious community or spirituality is often an important way to cope. And it was for males. Males reported being more likely to rely on their religious beliefs or community for help. And I thought that was interesting, because normally, at least stereotypically, we think of women being more tied into their spirituality. So I thought that was an interesting difference. The other way I looked at the group is by GPA range. So what I did was I lumped together the B and above students and the students below a B. And I looked to see, in terms of the questions, whether there were any differences. And there did, some differences did emerge. Students with lower GPA range seem to report less likely that their parents had high expectations. Okay? Their parents did not have realistic expectations for them. These are students with lower GPA. And they were less likely to report that their parents understood that education was more important than having an income. So there's something different about the students who had less than a B average, that they seem to have more difficulties in these areas. And there's, I think, a couple more, yeah, 3 more. They were less likely to report that their parents encouraged their daughters to go on to education as much as they did their sons. They were less likely to report that their families encouraged them. So I know we've heard, different things about family support, and certainly there are families that are supportive, but we cannot completely take away the premise that there are some families, for whatever reason, that the students are perceiving, at least, and reporting that they would like some more support. And the last one that I saw a difference on, again, for students with lower GPA, that their family was they were less likely to report that their family understood that schoolwork was more important than family obligations or responsibilities. And again, that doesn't mean they don't love their family, or that their family isn't supportive in other ways, but that for whatever reason, they were perceiving that. And the last variable that I saw a difference within the students was age range. So I lumped them into the 3 age groups, 21 to 27, 35 or whatever, 28 to 35, and then 36 and above. And I saw these differences. So for older students, they were the ones who struggled more with these questions. Older students were less likely to report that their parents emphasized education, that they were less likely to report that their parents had realistic expectations, or that their family understood that an education was more important than income. And I think so that's important for us to know that our older students may be struggling in ways that our younger students may not. Because then we need to reach out to older students in a way that's a little bit different than to younger students. And these are some other differences. Again, the older the student was, again, less likely to report their family understood that schoolwork was more important than family, less likely that their friends emphasized education, and also more likely to report that they had difficult experiences as Latinos, which in some ways it makes sense when you think about older students having gone through maybe a previous generation of different experiences here in the U.S., and that even English affected their schoolwork. Okay, so again, these are older students who had a more difficult problem in that area. And now I'd like to turn it over to Carlos, who is going to talk about the open-ended questions, because he did the analysis on that.
Thank you. Well, we're still working on the analysis because, as you know, qualitative data is very difficult to interpret, and we rely on more in not only one point of view, but different points of view. At this time, we have been working together, Dr. Elizabeth Reese and myself and other graduate students, analyzing that data. And our mission there is to definitely take into consideration methodology and do the triangulation that would allow us to see the real picture that our Latinos wanted to show us with this response. I mean, when I say triangulation, I'm talking about methodology, like definitely you at least need three types of instruments that will help you to see the quantitative part, but also the qualitative part, and then return to the field and with a very solid instrument and prove that we are making that interpretation real or not. That methodologically speaking, they call that triangulation. And well, this is our first scope. It means our first interpretation. It can change because we need Dr. Ruiz's point of view with the quantitative data and also the point of view of our graduate. We are planning to present this every year we have a conference, a research conference, and these graduate students planning to present this and explain more in detail all about the qualitative methodology. Okay. And like Dr. Ruiz said, this interpretation is based on the open-ended response that we have from our students. What barriers do you experience as you try to complete your education at Governors State University? As you can see, English and math, academic proficiency, they say that particular fields are the most difficult for them, and 27% say that. How we come out with this particular statement? Well, the first code is associated with quantify how many students answer this question argue that the most difficult barriers or the most difficult things that they need to deal with is English and math. And 15% talk about economic barriers. It means that the majority of them need to face a lot of struggles because they are family. They have family. They are working right now, and they need to deal. And it's sad to say this, but when I check the transcript, the majority of them only take 1 or 2 or 3 classes because they don't have enough money to pay for that. And we always try to help them with everything possible, looking for scholarships and other type of resources. And this is hard. But 80%, let me explain how this, what is this telling us. We identified 3 types of responses. One, the ones who argue that nothing is they are like in denial thing because they say, oh, nothing is wrong, professors are good, we don't need anything else, we have what we need, and that's it. And the other ones say that, no, definitely we need more support, we need to be more familiar about policies and procedures at the university. We are first generation